We were up to 28 colors on the interior of this house. Every
Wow.
room had a different scheme. And if you do that and then you multiply that times the finishes, whether it was semi-gloss in a trim or flat on a ceiling, we were close to about 80 different paints inside the interior of that house.
Kevin Silliman and Nick Goebel back again inside the Ohio Painting Company podcast. As always, good to see you. How's everything?
Top of the morning. Good.
Going good. Good.
All right, that's
Another
awesome.
great Wednesday morning.
We're in
Busy.
the Wednesday introspective grind. So push pull onto it. But yeah, no, it's a lot of good stuff.
That's good news. You know, Nick, last week we tried to do something that you prepped for a long time for. And I felt, see, if you had told me that you had prepped that much for that particular episode, we were talking about favorites. I mean, we would have probably still been on it, talking about it. I would have never blown you off like that.
Well, I get it. We're going to make me into the crybaby of the group real fast.
It'll be great. At least the emphasis will be off of me.
No, it's just any effort at all. It's like I didn't put hours into it, but no,
Good.
that is that's the nature of the podcast. Kind of let things meander to where they're going to, because that's kind of where the fruit is. So take your best laid plans and allow them to change, because that's how it should happen. So anyhow, no,
Well, I
all
hear
good,
you.
man.
Since you do have a list, I want to get into that. And, as you go through this, we're going to be showing pictures if we have them available. That way people can take a look at them, in their complete state. So, I mean, what do you got for us, Nick, on the episode of favorites? What's on that list?
Well, you'd asked, what qualifies as a favorite, and the low-hanging fruit is obviously the transformation. It's fun to see these things. Everybody's into the satisfying videos online. That's got its own following. That's the easy one, and we got tons of those. I mean, we're excited about pretty much every project. Quarterback mentality of being on each project and staying present. You don't spend a whole lot of time reflecting on that. But really, I think a lot of our favorites come down to a combination of transformation, customer interaction. Again, in our company, several mantras, but one of them is we just want our customers to love us. And so, that interaction, if you're just expected to do something, we'll do it. That's transactional thing. We will provide what we want to, but if we can have fun while we're doing it, I mean, that's what we talk about in the office, for a long time. It's like, oh man, Mrs. Brown she was amazing. And, and our guys get into it. And so, we, in the transactional world of business, we have our emotions also. So, I mean, we don't need to be buttered up because we're going to do what we're going to do, but you can make fun or have fun with it, or they buy our guys pizza. We buy our guys pizza, but if a customer buys a guy's pizza, oh man, they talk about, the customer. And so anyhow, I mean, this world's hard enough. So that really impacts, the favorites as well. And then also learning lessons and really pivotal points in our career and the life of the company, that attributes to it also. So yeah, there's a list, and this is boring to go through a list, but I mean, we already touched on one before when we talked about the formation of our company, which was our first large commercial project as Ohio Painting Company, where I think several lessons were learned, and one of the big ones was budget, and also stay ahead of budget. So I mean, you can't run the budget in real time. Sometimes you go over, but by the end of that project, we picked this big obnoxious name, and this was Quality Vision out there in Beaver Creek, Ohio. And it was a big project, interior and exterior. I think it's 25 grand. It's like our first five-figure bid and project as Ohio Painting. And by then, the project is the middle of February. Winter's hard enough as it is. And Kevin and I were there working by ourselves. We said for free, but it was part of the contract. We collected them, but we were there for 2 weeks. After we collected the final check, like, don't they know we're the Ohio Painting Company? We're sitting here working for free. But we said it like just in a joking manner. The hardships like that also forge strong bonds, just like they do in marriage. If you can weather through them. So, that was one.
Yeah, that was 32,000 because our first check was half of that we took to the bank. It was $16,000 is what we opened our account up with, and I think we talked about that before. But the cool thing about it was, looking at those, $16,000 checks. I guess this might be a little bit too much info, so we could probably keep a lot of this out. But but it's pretty cool now. $16,000 is like, that's nice, but we need a lot more than
Right.
$16,000.
Yeah.
It takes. It's unreal, and I'm sure larger companies know this already, but it takes a lot of money. Marketing alone. We doubled last year because you cannot go backwards in that realm. Especially when the economy is getting a little bit shaky. But these jobs, these memorable jobs, the ones that we remember the most are the ones like Nick is talking about that are the hardships. And whenever we came to the end of that money and we had, nothing left, and there we are working for free, so to speak, you just make fun with it. You have a good time. And if you don't, you're not going to last. That's for sure. Boy, the tough times are, they're crazy. But again, it's what makes it, it makes you memory, the memory of it is, it's very impressing, so that you don't do the wrong thing again. So anyway.
So anyhow, that was so it all goes into it, all works together. If you want to talk about, accolades and transformation of a property, this has been plastered all over Springboro, and it's been part of, several campaigns over the last couple of years with the Aaron Wright House here in Springboro. That was a horrible historical rehabilitation to some degree, because there's a lot of wood replacement. So that wood could not be replaced with composite materials. It all had to be redwood and cedar. And the people that purchased the property, Larry and Cheryl Dillon of Dillon Enterprises. Anyhow, they're just fantastic to work for. They had a great vision. They took us. This house has got history in our hometown. Where we're based out of right now, Springboro. It's where we kind of grew out of, is the Springboro market. And it's a pivotal. It's a monumental house, and nobody even knew there. Springboro's growing so fast, nobody even knew that it existed. It's like this house that has a great story tied to the brother of the founder of Springboro, and he enticed his wife by moving out of New York City and the big city life by building this big mansion. And it's gorgeous and it's immaculate, and it was at the time. And it got her out of New York City, so it's on the grand scale, but Springboro's grown so fast in the last 20 years with the tree overgrowth and everything else that was around the property. And not to say that they let it go, but it was minimal maintenance that they did year over year over year, and that compounded. Nobody knew it was there. And then this couple, Larry and Cheryl, they bought the project. They wanted to do something for City of Springboro, kind of a community house, but also to operate some of their businesses out of there. And so they had this vision. They leveled trees. They hired us to come in. We weren't the only contractor there. There were carpenters and flooring guys. They redid the kitchen. But anyhow, we can share pictures on that, because everybody in Springboro was, I didn't even know it was there. What a gorgeous, home. It really like sets off the town, which is, that's saying a lot, but it's close to that main intersection. So that was one. And then, I'm just going around, Kevin's got his reflections on all these too, but there's another one we share pictures of we called it the Willy Wonka House. And honestly, this was a guy, fantastic guy. He was living in Ireland. His wife was living down in Australia. They had a child together. She was an infant, and they got to the point where they needed to get back together and resume their family life. So I don't ask them why they chose Dayton, Ohio. We have our reasons for being prideful of Dayton, but it's not really the most ideal place you'd think, coming from Ireland and Australia, to really relocate to Dayton. But so worldwide culturized, they've been exposed to a lot. And when we took on this project, we had anytime you get into a color of paint or finish, you have the equipment that goes into it. The cleanup involved switching over that is kind of a cumbersome process. It's like 30 minutes per person clean out, when you get into a new color. So we say, okay, we can do 3 colors on a house on this certain bid. And then if you're going to add more colors, then we have to add additional money to accommodate for the time and the touch up and everything else. Like, it compounds the job really fast. And so this customer signed on with us, and they came back and they had a list of 8 colors. Well, so we have the conversation, like, this is what we have to go through. He's like, oh no, that's fine. This is this is what we want, and it's worth it. And I kid you not, we counted them up in the office out here. Um, we were up to 28 colors on the interior of this house. Every
Wow.
room had a different scheme, and if you do that, and then you multiply that times the finishes, whether it was semi-gloss and a trim or flat on a ceiling, we were close to about 80 different paints inside the interior of that house.
And
And
it wasn't that it was a large house. Like we've done large homes.
oh yeah,
I mean,
twelve
$100,000,
thousand
yeah,
or 12,000 square
square
foot.
feet, but
Yeah.
yeah, $100,000 jobs, and you've got a lot of paint then. I mean, multiple colors, everything like you're saying, but
Yeah.
for this size of a house, my gosh.
But it's cool. It's in Kettering. It was old. It had patina, it had character, it had kind of that crazy architecture. I mean, they found the right house to fit their personality. And so we called it the Willy Wonka House because we are the first receipt that we bought for the house. Literally hung from the suspended rafter or the drop ceiling in our office, and it nearly touched the floor. So the receipt from Sherwin-Williams was 8 foot long of different paints and colors.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I like the cool thing about it was like, oh my gosh, are we just throwing colors at walls? But they had a vision and we did it. And it was wacky, but it was fun. It was comprehensive, and they got that feeling from, being around the world and seeing that. They wanted that impact in each room. And so that was really neat.
Did I throw that receipt away?
I
I
think at
didn't,
some
I didn't
point,
know that's what it was, but I'm like, what in the world do we have this receipt
because it was the
hanging
world's
from the
longest
wall?
receipt.
Yeah, from the ceiling to the
Right.
floor.
Hey, you should have put it in a frame and put it up on the wall of fame, heading back to the shop
Probably
back there.
that would have been great, Brett. Yeah, we should have done that. That would have been awesome. But no, I went in without the knowledge and threw it away, I think.
I want to
Well, yeah.
know real quick, how often are you with the customer when they walk through the door for the first time?
So, I mean, the typical scenario, they're living in it. So it's
Sure.
kind of, can't see the forest through the trees. It's a lot of times it's expectation management, because we assist a lot of times in steering them toward a color. So they might be, a little standoffish or, balk on something because they see us cut in and it's not, doesn't look so like we will encourage them just to be patient and watch it come together. And then at that point, if we need to pivot, then we will. In this case, yeah, they were living there. Was Mrs. Squirrel there on the reveal? I
I'm
can't
not sure.
remember.
I'm not sure. I'm going to kind of skip around though over back to the original part of that question. Overall, we're like Nick said, we're not there very often. But just to kind of ride on that, I gave you some video of a house that we did the cabinets in,
Mhm.
and we didn't get to see this reaction, but the guys were there and they already had the cabinets on for her, and they turned out beautifully. Well, when she left out of there, she was actually living in a fifth wheel out in the back, on the property,
Uh-huh.
until we got done because she was pregnant. But she met her husband out there, and she said, he says, "Why are you crying?" And I'm gonna get emotional thinking about it. But I mean, she's like, "I saw my cabinets, and they were just beautiful." So that's, again, those are the things that make the job, But I wish we could get a lot of those videos, where you can see. Maybe we could get a Chip and Diana kind of moment, with is that who that is? Chip and who? What's her name?
Chip and Joanna, yeah.
Joanne. There
Chip
we go.
and
Yeah.
Chip
Chip and Joe.
Oh, Chip
But
and Joe.
yeah, get some emotional parts of that. But yeah, it's really hard for us to catch that every time because they do live there most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you were saying, it's tough to really get a vision when there's only that first line of paint when you're cutting in. I mean, I can never see it. I can never see how that wall's going to look when the top edge is the only thing that's touched with paint. After that initial cut in, I'm like, this is awful. How on earth is this going to come through? And then you do that second coat, and then you do the rolling, and you just you got to keep up with it. Probably not in that order. You guys are the experts, but
It's funny though. It's like, we get so weathered. This is what we do every day, and we operate from the gut and from experience, what works and what doesn't. So when we're dealing with customers, we're speaking from experience, and that's huge. Kevin and I both painted our brick homes in 2022, and I think we both went through kind of the stomach curling, like, what is this going to look like come together? Did I make the right choice? Like, we don't want to do this again. But I remember sitting there and when my wife and I drove around and talked for years about painting. This is when you paint brick, you want to do it right. We drove around looking at colors, color combinations, put our own spin on it. And I came home and we had the guys working on the house. And I came home after the first coat, and Ashley meets me and she's like, "So what do you think about it?" And I remember like thinking I needed to hold a poker face because I really wasn't sure, and it
Yeah.
wasn't done. We didn't have the cedar accents and stuff, but so I mean, it's nice to appreciate the other side of it, what our customers go through. But nonetheless, the gut thing worked out, and in our house we love it.
Hmm.
But no, that experience, that emotional, like, save for this money, I'm going to do this, and that's why it's nice to do it right, do it nice. But if you have the opportunities in your extremity rooms to do something fun, I say every house should have one grand room, one room you walk into that just feels grander than anything that you deserve. And if you can, you have that one room or even a couple of them, they're nice rooms to step into. Sometimes, I mean, kids running around, if your wife can cover for you, your spouse can cover for you, and you can go off and close the door and be in the room and just kind of shed it or be in it. Like, yeah, it might be a bathroom. I don't know.
Right.
And my house is a bathroom.
Mine's
All
the
right.
shit with all the fishing gear. But go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. I think ours is probably our living room. Just the amount of woodwork and labor that's gone into that, the amount of coats of paint, the slightly darker paint that we put on either side of the mantle. That's just a little bit darker than the rest of the walls. It kind of creates almost a shadow illusion that
Yeah.
that you wouldn't know about. And that was probably the closest thing to um, creative painting that we've ever done. And that was before we started working together. And so we were pretty proud of that, just to see that
Yeah.
come together like that. So, aside from that, I'm sure there's several other things on the list, Nick, that you would want to bring up. I could be wrong. Is it a whole sheet? What are you seeing there?
Yeah, I mean, once we start rolling office, we have a sheet. But I'm curious, you know, we got collective input on that. Eric Sprells is one of those. Is great. We got a lot of them. You just have to dig for them. But
Hmm.
I mean, along what we said, I mean, what's the most standout project of ours that?
I'd have to get selfish. I'd say whenever we redid the office,
Right.
we came from a place that was in a warehouse that was a machine factory, and we had a 1,000 foot space freezer, and that's what we used for our storage of everything. And it used to be a pizza place, and
Pizza manufacturing, Presto Pizza thing.
Presto, yeah, but it turned into a different a machine shop, and there's dirt everywhere. Anyway, um, I would have never dreamed that we were actually going to be here. We'd already had a couple of small offices in a building that, just to get away from that area, had rented some out. Long story short, our church used to have this. It stayed vacant for 2 years with the realtor, not with our church, but after they moved out with the realtor. And we just got a really good price on it. We just came to take a look just to see what it looked like. And they had torn out all the rooms in the back, and it still looked the same, still had the same colors and the same little faith, love, joy, peace, whatever those words are that you
Hmm.
plaster on your walls, and all of that's still there. But when we transformed this, we painted all of the whole front as windows. So we painted all of that, all the trim work around there, made it our colors, did some seriously crazy faux finishes, redid the floor, got the office furniture in, and um, again, that's really on the selfish line. But as far as growth in a company, man, it just felt so cool to, where we were talking about it being in the garage, to where it is now. It just felt so cool.
They say, fake it till you make it. I think that's kind of an embellishment. You're not faking anything. You're working with the resources that you have, but I don't think it's selfish at all. I mean, it's hard when you live in the visionary aspect to convey that, especially to a team. You're building a team, but then now we have this place that we can pour into, and each one of us have, the paint finishes and the artistic finishes and everything. Those are all cool, but they get the guys involved in how we organize the back warehouse and where the spray booths are. And no, I mean, it's funny because I mean, in all the discussion, this project right here that we actually work in every day didn't even come up, but it's yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, and very interesting look too. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen such a textured paint, like say behind Devana's desk. How does that happen? Is that mixed in the can? Do you got to add stuff after? Do you have to add stuff while the paint's wet? How does that work?
Yeah, there's quite a few different finishes or tops that that you have to put on top of each other. And then there's some metallics that you can use that you mix in the paint. But then you can also brush on, the glitter or the glam, in a clear mixture of, whatever that is, whether it be a gold glitter or I mean, some of it is, I don't even know what it is, but little pieces of rock. I mean, it just depends on what finish you want to go with. One of them we have is, I saw it in a bar out in Arizona. It was a bar, it was in a restaurant, but this massive wall. It just looked like almost grass paper.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go horizontal like I'm doing, but it went vertically. And at the top, there was probably in this place, probably a 4 to 5 foot section where it just looked like old nasty mildew, dark brown nastiness, right?
Yeah.
Seeping from the ceiling, right? Well, we don't have 5 feet of that, but we've got about 2.5 feet of it on that wall, and we've mimicked that wall in there. The girls did a great job on it. In fact, we're going to do our exterior wall of that too, where the windows are. We're going to do it at the top and kind of make that full circle in there. But yeah, just there's multiple layers. It takes a lot. Thank goodness the girl that does that work, rents part of the shop out back here, and we'll be able to get a real good price, on that.
Yeah.
Sure. So. And we do get a good price on it. But yeah, if you've ever wanted a finish, man, those are some of them to look at. Yeah, it was a good buy.
No doubt. Yeah. And, even just down the hall, through to the kitchen area at the Ohio Painting Company headquarters, it's sweet. You guys did a great job. Definitely.
Thanks.
For sure.
It's fun.
Well, hey guys, we are getting a little bit close to time here. We definitely got a few of those Nick favorites, Kevin favorites, Kevin's take, Nick's take on these particular projects. And there's so many other ways to take a look at these in real time on the YouTube channel with the Ohio Painting Company. Just search the Ohio Painting Company. We put a lot of the same material on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. So you guys can stay up to date with what the Ohio Painting Company is up to. And we're pushing for March here with the Ohio Painting Company podcast. And we want to thank everybody for coming in and doing their thing and hanging with us and learning as we learn how to do a podcast. I think we're getting the hang of it. This is the first time we could actually hear each other when we clicked onto Zoom. So that was a pleasant change, I think.
That was impressive. Yeah. We were all both on key.
But, aside from that, guys, we're going to have to close up shop here, but enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll be back for episode 8 next week on the Ohio Painting Company podcast. You guys take it easy.
All right. Thanks, Brett.
See you, man.
See you, buddy.